think this is an interesting conversation to have as spouses, because I think we see our spouses so much more clearly sometimes than we see ourselves. Even when when you and I have to do assessments, we do them together, because I answer it how I want to be perceived. You answer it how it really is.
Yeah.
So
no, I would have a perspective on how you spend your time that's different than you. Welcome to the Glass House. We continue today on what I'm calling 10 in 10, but it really is a promise of 20 minutes. We're trying to keep these episodes tight, practical. I'm going to dump a little bit of information, and then at the end, Lynley, I'm going to ask you about it.
So
I actually have a giant green card I'm going to hand to you, which is a bit of an outline for you. I want to talk today about self-leadership. The most important leadership is self-leadership, and there are 4 activities that we basically allow ourselves to be involved in, 4 categories. 1 Timothy 4:16 says, watch your life and your doctrine closely. And I think every leader needs to look at their life regularly and analyze, what kind of activities am I choosing to be involved in, and are these the best activities for me? So here they are, the 4 categories. It's really simple. Things that you are bad at and you have no passion for. That's the first category. You're not good at it and you're not even excited about it. Stop doing it immediately. You're embarrassing yourself. You're annoying everybody around you. For me, in each of these categories, I'm going to give you one at work and one at home. Okay? So for me, this would be project management. Anytime...
Bad at and no passion?
Oh, no passion for it, and I'm really bad at it. Like, I can see a project, I do not know how to break that thing down into parts. Other people do that way better. Right?
Aren't we like paired well there?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Bad and no passion at home, puzzles. I hate puzzles. I'm terrible at puzzles, and I don't even enjoy puzzles.
And
I like
just got a new flat surface table so that I could do puzzles.
And I'm going to drink coffee and watch you work that puzzle.
No, you're not. You're going to sit on the couch and be like, I don't want to work on a puzzle.
That's probably true. Let's move on to category 2. You're bad at it and you have passion for this.
Okay.
So you don't care that you're an amateur. You don't care that you'll never be on the Mount Rushmore of whatever this is. You just like doing it.
Like
That's a hobby.
Comedy?
Yeah. This is a hobby. Just do it because you like doing it and you don't ever expect to be paid for it or to win any awards for it. So you can keep doing it, but it's a hobby. So for example, at work, I like to be involved with graphic design. I'm not a graphic designer. They'll never ask me to draw anything, but I do enjoy looking at visuals and giving input about what things look like and feel like. So again, they're not going to put me on the creative team. At home, interior design. I'm awful at picking out furniture and stuff, but I like to be opinionated about it.
That is for sure.
It's a hobby. I mean, I enjoy the way a room feels.
Actually, he'll say, Lynley, I don't know what's missing here, but I don't think I like it. He's like, can you fix this, please? But it's not anything I've done, but so then he's like, why don't we redo this room? And when I say we, I mean you.
Well, unlike my office, I'm constantly wanting to like switch something in my office. Like even last night, like, hey, can you help me kind of like figure out how this looks? Like, I don't like this.
Actually, it was you Googling like giant cartoon images for your wall behind your Zoom. And I was like,
it's fun.
That's fun. You're on like maybe 2 Zooms a week at home.
And we digress. Let's go to category number 3.
It's fun talking about you.
What is category number 3 on your card?
Good at, but no passion.
Okay. The third is things that you are good at and have no passion. You are probably doing this because nobody else has stepped up. So you should begin an active search for someone else to do this. You're good at it, but you're going to burn out if you keep doing it. You're just not any good at it. So, I mean, you just don't enjoy it. You are good at it.
Wait, this is that quote that sometimes your competency is not your calling.
Yeah. So for me, writing articles for generic online audiences, I'm good at that. I do not enjoy that. Like, it takes a lot out of me to write just like a general Christian living article that's going to go on some website. There's a lot of people I know that love to do that. I don't have the passion for that. At home, teaching our kids how to write. I know that I could, but I hate teaching.
How to write or speak.
Yeah, I don't enjoy teaching people how to write. Like, I wish I did, but there's other people that do that well. I mean, I'm sure I could do it, but I don't enjoy it. So, like, our kids are on their own. Learn how to write, kid. It's your problem, not mine.
Who's going to teach them well?
And then the fourth category are things that you are good at and you have a lot of passion for. This is your unique ability.
Okay.
This is where your gusto, your everyday like excitement, enthusiasm intersects with your skill. And this is the area or areas that you need to be spending more and more of your time in. So I love to tell this story about Warren Buffett. I think we've talked about this somewhere else, but as the story goes, somebody asked Warren Buffett about how to prioritize their life. And I'm going to read this. It's from 4,000 Weeks, the book by Oliver Burkett. And it's what he says. Warren Buffett is asked by a young man how to prioritize his life. And this was his response. He tells the man to make a list of the top 25 things he wants out of life and then to arrange them in order from the most important to the least. The top 5, Buffett says, should be those around which he organizes his time. But contrary to what the person might have expected to hear, the remaining 20, Buffett allegedly explains, aren't the second-tier priorities by which he should turn when he gets the chance. Far from it. In fact, they're the ones he should actively avoid at all costs, because they're the ambitions that are insufficiently important to him to form the core of his life, yet seductive enough to distract him from the ones that matter most. I just think that's so well worded. So the idea is that it's that fourth category. You have a lot of passion and you're really good at it, where you're going to get the highest return on investment. The more time you can spend in that category, the happier you're going to be, and also the more people around you are going to be blessed by what you're doing. So here's my question for you, Lynley. Those 4 categories, as I laid them out, is there one that stands out to you that's like, this one's interesting to me, this category? Or do you want me to suggest what I think are some of yours in each of these categories? Because I wrote those down.
I knew you would have.
I'm kind of interested to see if you can name like one in each category.
No, you start. Okay, just start listing mine off, and then we'll discuss.
Okay, well, the first one. Here's
bad at or no
here's
passion?
My best guess on things that you are bad at and have no passion for, and you should stop doing them immediately.
Okay, work or home?
Number at work, being in any kind of skit. Or theater.
Absolutely
or anything
not.
Spontaneously on stage. You're not good at it and you hate it.
Now, hang on. You have called me up numerous times before, like at events, and you've said beforehand, with maybe 60 seconds warning, hey, I'm going to call you up here, so just be ready.
Yeah, I shouldn't say on stage. It's when you're trying to like be a character.
Oh, yeah, for sure not. I
or
can't
do any kind of theatrical thing.
I can't pretend. In fact, I don't even watch movies that require an imagination, because it's just like, that's not real.
Like, don't even sign up for that. Don't do it. I can't do that. You hate it.
Our kids will watch stuff, and they're like, Mom, don't watch it. You're not going to like it. It requires an imagination.
Okay, something you're bad at home and you have no passion for? Fixing anything on your computer. Please don't even try.
I don't even know how to turn on the TV.
Well, occasionally you're like, I'm going to learn how to do this on the computer. And I'm like, you maybe just let somebody help you with that.
No, you'll say, hey, when next time you're at Lifeway, why don't you just ask the guy at the IT desk to do that with you? Ben and everybody was gone from our house over spring break for 3 days. And I texted them all like, hey, tell me how to get on all the TV apps, because there's, so many between Hulu and Netflix. And they just said, we'll call when you need it and we'll walk you through it. And I never did, because I was like, you know what? I'm just going to enjoy the silence. And I don't want to call and embarrass myself.
Well, it's good to know, like, this is something that needs to be done. And I'm just not the person to do it. Like, there's nothing wrong with saying that.
And I'm not going to learn how when you're there.
I have all my things, too. Like, I just need to call somebody who can help me with this.
You don't have to justify it. I'm terrible at that.
Oh, that's what I had for that first one. Okay, so let's bookend this instead of hitting every category. Let's go to the end one, which is unique ability, where your highest passions meet your best skills. I think one of those areas for you is event planning. Like, I'm seeing a ton of joy in planning this wedding this summer with our daughter. Mm-hmm. It's fun for you to visualize an event and what's going to be on the tables and what time people are going to show up and all that stuff.
I like doing One Lifeway. We've worked so many hours on that behind the scenes of me being the audience participant and saying, no, people are not going to enjoy that. People are going to enjoy that. People are not, and we go back and forth on that. I think I want people, what I'm passionate about is making sure people have a good experience. And I don't think that requires a really long time sometimes. I think sometimes people can have a really good experience in a really short amount of time.
Yeah.
If it's done well.
Yeah. Well, so here's an exercise I think could be really convicting. You know how there's these calorie counting apps where you like enter in all your food, and at the end of the week you can see like what kind of calories, how many were empty.
I've heard about them. I do not have them because I want to eat what I want to eat.
It's an interesting phenomenon. If you looked at your calendar and you really took a really good time inventory of how much time you're spending like answering emails and all the stuff, and at the end of the week added up the number of minutes in each category, I wonder how many of those minutes are actually spent in that last category. I bet the average person would be shocked how little time they're actually spending in their unique ability.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate here, though, for a moment, because I just had this conversation with a coworker, and his comment was, I get that, but we can't all live in that category. Because he said, if I tell my sons, this was his example, if I tell my sons to take out the trash and they said, you know what, I'm actually not passionate about that. I just don't think I can do that today. So, where is the balance of, this is the dream case that we live.
I have an answer to that.
Where's the balance?
Well, the answer, I think, is where you have control. I mean, I think a lot of people, they're honest, spend way more time in and out of their inbox than they need to with email instead of being creative or producing something that doesn't exist. It's just easier to go back to like all old habits. There's a lot of things that are on my plate as a president that I don't want to do, but I have to do.
Right.
And everybody has a job. But I'm saying where you have control. I think people have a lot more control over this than they admit.
I think this is an interesting conversation to have as spouses, because I think we see our spouses so much more clearly sometimes than we see ourselves. Even when you and I have to do assessments, we do them together, because I answer it how I want to be perceived. You answer it how it really is.
Yeah.
So
I would have a perspective on how you spend your time that's different than you.
But I'm talking about even just these, good, bad at with no passion, bad at, but with passion. Because sometimes we don't, when we're living in the moment, we don't even realize what we're doing in an excited way. So like a fun date night as a couple, or if you're in ministry and, you want to do something besides talk about the church and the newest church members and all those things, is to go do this, over dinner and to say, hey, because it's interesting, your perspective on me of what you think I'm bad at with no passion, what I'm good at but have no passion, all those things.
I do think you should invite other people into the process and say, what do you think about my time inventory and how I'm spending my time? But I think this is particularly important for anybody who's feeling burnt out. If you're feeling burnt out, I would say a large amount of time it's because of poor self-leadership. You're not a victim and you're not a martyr. You've done this to yourself. You're spending more and more time in the categories to which you have no passion or talent.
I was going to say, I bet the burnout for me feels like they're good at it, but they don't have any passion.
Or sometimes there's things I'm good at, and people have started to rely on me for that, and I don't want to back out, but I'm not feeling any energy around it anymore. I think a lot of burnout has to do with obligation. We feel obligated to stay on this board or to continue to serve in this capacity on this team, instead of just saying, you know what, I got to call it. This has been a great season, but this is going to be my last season because my heart is turning towards some other things.
I think that you would be better at I think some different personalities, it's not hard for me to say no. So I don't experience burnout or something like you would as much, because you like people. I mean, you want to be around them. So, I mean, you maybe could talk about that a little bit easier.
Well, I think ministry staff people, which is a large amount of our audience, struggle with this. I think there's a certain amount of things that maybe they were hired to do. And over time, they take on more responsibility without letting go of the things that they were told are on their plate. I think there has to be a constant renegotiation of how you invest your time based on those categories.
I actually want to clarify, because I don't like it sounding like I don't have this problem, but you do. I mean, I do have problems saying no sometimes and prioritizing the right things to do, even if it's saying no to myself of being on social media for an hour. So I didn't mean to throw you under the bus.
No, I think you're better at saying no than I am.
I know, but there are still things that you just have to say yes to, or you maybe do feel bad about, declining. But I just wanted to clarify that real quick.
Yeah, and we can hop to some other topics, but going back to the idea of empty calories in your diet, I do think there's a lot of control we have over the kind of calories we have in our work. Are we doing the kind of work that inspires us? And to what degree is that in our control? Is that an important conversation?
How do you present this to young leaders?
I think young leaders are always interested in this conversation, in that they know that they're probably over-investing in some categories where they shouldn't be. They have aspirations of having a job that would call upon their strengths more. And so, yeah, especially at the early part of our career, we do, and it's good because we have a lot of energy. We do end up spending a lot of energy in the categories we don't love, but we're hoping one day to get to the place where we can really live in our sweet spot and earn our way.
That's what I'm asking. So really for a young leader listening, it's going to be a little bit different than an older leader listening, because younger, I mean, you just have more ambition and you're trying to figure out. Sometimes they may not even know where they have passion or what they're good or not at. So, I mean, it's almost like when they're younger, they have the ability. Is that what you're saying? To maybe not overcommit, but commit to a lot more things as they figure out who they are. I mean, you and I talk about this in our mid to late 40s. We're still identifying things about us that have changed and shifted and perspectives on life.
Yeah, but I'm mostly thinking about like the pastor right now. I think if the average pastor would
I'm saying even a young pastor.
Yeah, if he would take his weekly schedule, fill out all the hours he's spending in counseling, hospital visitation, sermon preparation, all the different things, add them all up. And then let's say he's spending 20 hours in sermon preparation. Is that a unique ability? Is it something that he's very passionate about and he's very good at? If the answer is yes, that's a good use of his time. If it's not, he may want to share the pulpit more. He may want to raise up some other people that have a lot of passion for preaching. Doesn't mean he's out of a job.
And be more pastoral.
And be really, really good at pastoral ministry.
Caring for the people, being with them.
And make sure that they're being well taught by various voices, and his is one of them, but he can't do it every week. There's a lot of different ways you can shift your job responsibilities to be more in that unique ability category if you're smart about it. One of my favorite books on this topic is called Essentialism. Popular book out there, and it's called The Disciplined Pursuit of Less. And he opens with this illustration. There's a guy, I think his name's Sam. He's burning out in his job. He goes to a friend. He says, look, I think I'm going to quit. I think they're going to offer me severance. I think I'm going to walk. And his friend wisely says to him, why don't you just stop doing all the stuff that you don't like and just completely throw yourself headlong into the few things that you really love? Because what are they going to do? Fire you? You're ready to quit anyway. Well, 6 months later, Sam has gotten a promotion because he's like killing it. Because he made the hard decisions of removing himself from meetings and things to which he was not adding much value anyway, and taking that time and putting into the places where he really was bringing a benefit to the company. So he was happier, and they were seeing a larger return on his investment. Now, that's pie in the sky thinking to some degree. Not everybody can do that. But the principle is this. Where you have agency, where you have free will, where you can begin to say, I'm going to cut back a little on this and add more of this, it's not only better for your mental health, it's really you living out God's design for your life.
I think that it requires a lot of humility in discovering, because I think there's a lot of people who think they're really good at everything.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of humility to ask, like, what are my unique gifts? And as far as I can control that, what should I?
Wow.
What?
That's really well said. Because here's what you could do. If you had your time inventory, and let's say like a pastor did that, and here's all the hours he's spending on all these things, to go to like 3 of his most trusted staff and say, what do you think about this?
Right. I mean, I think that our other people see us clearer sometimes than we see ourselves. And so it's not just enough to take inventory and then be like, you know what? I don't actually want to do that. I don't think I'm going to do that anymore. Like, I would bet most of the listeners out here don't have that ability to be able to do that. Like, you just have to do it. So to take it then and go to your elders, your deacons, your staff and say, I'm beginning to notice that these things really drain me. Is there anyone on staff that's passionate about this? Because it has to be done. We can't hire more staff. How do we fix this? So it doesn't come across as like, I think I'm just going to quit that.
Yeah, and maybe part of that humility too is the confession of saying, look, I have to be honest. I've been trying to be like the last pastor. Everybody talked about how great he was at the hospital. And man, I've been trying. I just don't enjoy the environment of the hospital. And so I can't keep this up. I think a lot of it is trying to meet expectations that you weren't intended to meet. And just being honest, like, I'm not good at that.
I wonder if some people listening to if the last pastor is still present in town, he just retired or something. Like, that's what Dr. Jett did for you. when you became a pastor, he went and did all the hospital visits and he did the funerals, and people enjoyed that because he'd been there for 20 years.
But it's hard because it would get back to me that somebody would say something like, well, Dr. Jett would have been there and Ben wasn't there. Well, you just have to choose who you're going to disappoint because that's how kind of part of ministry. So I do think that there's a sense in which you have to confess that you've been trying to meet expectations that are now eating away at your joy in ministry. So the question for you out there is, where are you spending time in the categories to which you were not created or designed to do well in? And how could you leverage your gifts more in the body of Christ? The Glass House is executive produced by Angie Elkins, edited and engineered by Donnie Gordon with help from Nathan Howard, show notes and production help from Nikki Ogden, photography by Emily Bergeron and Bailey Watley. Recorded at the Lifeway Podcast Studio in Brentwood, Tennessee.